Americans earning less than $140,000 per year are living in poverty. That's the takeaway from a new report released yesterday by Mike Green, and it exposes just how outdated and misleading our official poverty line really is. The government still claims that a family of four is above poverty at just $31,200 per year. But when you recalculate the same formula using today's cost structure, the true crisis threshold isn't $31K, it's closer to $140,000. Today, we're breaking down why the real poverty line is so much higher, how America's middle class has been hollowed out by the cost of participation in the economy, and what it means for you as we head into the next decade. So let's get into it. The official poverty line for a family of four in 2024 is about $31,200. With the median household income at around $80,000, we've been told that the average family is doing fine. They're well above the poverty line, they're solidly middle class, and maybe even comfortable. But if you update the original poverty formula honestly, that $80,000 family is actually living in deep poverty. Now here's why. The 1963 calculation, which was created by an economist named Molly Orshansky, saw that families spent about 1/3 of their income for food. So the simple rule was if you take the minimum food budget and multiply it by 3, that gave you a line where below it, a family was clearly in crisis. Now in 1963, that made sense. Housing was cheap, healthcare was cheap, childcare barely existed as a market, college was affordable, and a single income supported a family. If you fast forward to today, the cost structure has inverted. Food is no longer 33% of the budget. It's more like 5 to 7%. Housing has now taken up 35 to 45% of the budget. Healthcare is 15 to 25%. Childcare is 20 to 40%. And transportation, taxes, and other essentials consume the rest. So if you keep Orshansky's logic but update the math, the multiplier for the poverty line isn't 3 anymore, it's 16. So instead of 3 times the food budget, it's roughly 16 times the food budget. Apply that to a family of 4, and the poverty threshold isn't $31K, it's somewhere between $130,000 and $140,000. Remember, Orshansky wasn't defining middle class, she was defining crisis. So what does that say about the $31,200 line we use? It says that we're measuring starvation. It's an outdated measure of who is living in poverty and who isn't. Let's walk through the Barebones 2024 budget for a family of 4. 2 earners, 2 kids, no vacation, no luxuries, just the participation tickets required to function in the modern economy. Using conservative national average numbers, which you can see right here, you need $118,000 in after-tax income just to stand still. Add roughly $18,500 in federal, state, and FICA taxes, and your required gross income, just for the bare bones, is around $136,500. That's not affluence, that's just the floor. And even that model is optimistic. It assumes $1,900 in monthly rent. Now go look at actual markets where jobs are. Caldwell, New Jersey, which Mike Green uses as an example, the cheapest rental is $2,700 per month. That's a $777 monthly gap, roughly $9,300 a year in after-tax money. And to fill that gap, you need another $12,000 to $13,000 in gross salary. Suddenly, your real poverty threshold isn't $136,000, it's more like $160,000. Yet we continue to call $80,000 middle class, and that is the lie. When you examine the incentives built around that broken benchmark, you realize how brutally the system punishes upward mobility. Take a look here. At $35,000 a year, you qualify for Medicaid, food assistance, cheap childcare. You may be drowning, but the state throws you a life vest to cover those other expenses. At $45,000, you get a raise, but that raise comes with losing Medicaid. Your expenses jump by more than your income. At $65,000, the childcare subsidies disappear, and you go from paying a small copay to paying $32,000 a year. Your income rises by $20,000, and your expenses rise by even more. By the time a family gets to earning $100,000 per year, you may have less free cash each month than you had at $40,000. This is what Mike Green dubs the valley of death. Below the official poverty line, the state catches you, and above the real line, you're stable. But if you're in the middle, you are punished. Now layer on the cost of participation. In 1955, the participation ticket for communication, the bare minimum, was a $5 landline. Adjusted for inflation, that's roughly $58 today. But in 2024, to function in the economy, you need smartphones plus home internet. That's $200 a month. Healthcare, family coverage was $10 a month in the 1950s, and today it's over $1,600, which is 14 times the rate of inflation. In Social Security taxes in 1955, max contributions were equivalent to $960 in today's inflation-adjusted dollars. Today, a median household pays over $6,000. Now, childcare went from $0 to $32,000 because, again, households were able to support themselves previously on one income, and today they cannot. So that represents infinite inflation. Only food really tracks CPI. Everything else inflated far faster than the official benchmarks. So it's no wonder the data doesn't match the feeling in the real economy. It's because the formulas for who's struggling and who isn't are broken. So where does Bitcoin come in? Well, Bitcoin doesn't fix childcare and it doesn't solve healthcare, and it certainly doesn't rewrite these benefit cliffs. What Bitcoin does do is it gives families a way to save outside a system built on these broken benchmarks. The fiat system constantly moves goalposts, from CPI targets to benefit thresholds, tax brackets, and income categories, but Bitcoin doesn't. It's an absolutely finite asset. So as the cost of participation keeps rising faster than wages, policymakers will continue using inflation and debt as the release valve. Bitcoin is how households defend themselves against that slow bleed. And if you're a homeowner, there's another angle. Your home used to be forced savings. Today, it's often a subscription fee, high rent, zero equity, or a mortgage that traps wealth you can't access. And that's where Horizon comes in. Horizon exists for exactly this moment. Instead of taking on a new loan with a new monthly payment just to save for the future, Horizon allows you to invest a slice of your home's future value for tax-free cash today to buy Bitcoin and take on zero new monthly debt service in the process. You keep 100% of your Bitcoin, you keep living in your home, and you finally get access to the one asset with a fixed supply. If the true break-even point for a stable American household is $140,000 and the system is still pretending that $31,000 is poverty, you have a choice. You can keep playing the fiat game, or you can start opting out. Bitcoin gives you a savings asset that can't be quietly diluted and a way to revive the core of the American dream. Work hard, save in something real, and build a future that policymakers can't quietly rewrite with a formula from 1963. That's the math, that's the moment that we're in, and that's why Bitcoin matters now more than ever. That's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and reshare this for more, and check out Mike Green's original post linked below this video in the description. And of course, check out Horizon. Horizon helps you buy Bitcoin using your home's equity without new debt, monthly payments, interest charges, or term limits. To learn more and see if you qualify, go to joinhorizon.com or scan the QR code right there. That's all for today's video. Thanks again for watching. I'll talk to you soon.